Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be filming for you how I revise for languages, specifically French in my case. And I actually filmed this video like 2 weeks ago. You would have known from my vlogs, but the lighting was just so horrible, like it was grainy and just ugh. So I'm refilming it. So if it's a bit like jumpy, that's because I'm probably refilming it. Yeah, I haven't actually read through here since I made that video, so I might be a bit rambly, but we'll see how it goes. So as my language, I did French, and I got a grade A overall. I don't know what I got in the individual units, but I knew that I got an A overall. I'm not gonna lie to you, French was a subject that I cared about least. Like, everyone has a subject that they're like, I care about all the other ones, but this one, as long as I get like past a C, it's fine. I mean, actually I still wanted to get an A, but it's a subject which I basically did the least revision for. That is why I've titled the video How I Revise, not How to Revise. If you're aiming for a grade 9, maybe you're better watching someone like Eve Bennett's video who genuinely cares about languages. Like, that's not me, but this is just for people who want to get a good grade but kind of want to do it more efficiently with a bit less effort. The exam board I was on was I GCSE Cambridge, which I don't even know what it is, to be honest. To this day, like, I don't know. But the majority of people are on AQA, but I hope that this video is still useful to you guys. And obviously I was on the old GCSE and I don't know how much different the new and the old one are, but I hope that this is still applicable to you guys and that you can use some of my tips. So it was more of a process than an actual revision like thing for French. I don't know what the word is, but it was definitely more of a process. Obviously I had to start off knowing my grammar and my verbs pretty well. You can just do this off Duolingo, Quizlet, Memrise. Just make sure that you have a fairly good solid understanding of your grammar and your verbs. You don't have to be a complete linguist and know the word for everything, but you need to be able to know how to form a sentence. And if you don't know a word, you need to be able to change the sentence to make it fit something that you do know. So that's very basic. Just make sure that you can actually kind of understand the language. And then for me, I was like, well, I'm gonna have to focus on what I'm bad at because I know my listening is gonna pull me down. So I need to get all my other three really high. Listening you can't really revise for as easily, but you can revise for the other three. So I decided to put my focus into speaking because I knew that without good revision, I would absolutely fail that. Like, I'm good at written exams, but not spoken exams. Like, interviews and presentations aren't my strong point, so I was definitely going to need to put focus into my speaking. I would say about 70–80% of my revision was for my speaking. Like, the rest I didn't really try for, it was just my speaking. And how I revised for this was actually my French teacher's idea. It was actually a really good idea of his. I thought it was quite good. So basically what I did was, well, we were actually given questions, but you can go through and see what the topics are in the course and just ask yourself a few questions about every topic in French or whatever language you're taking, obviously. For our speaking, we were given the questions, and I will overlay a clip. So we were given questions and I typed out a response for every single question, plus my presentation, obviously. So I had speaking questions, general conversation, and my presentation, and a role play. So for every question we were given, I wrote out a response that was probably about 50 words, I don't know, all in French, and I made sure that I got all the tenses, good verbs, conjugations, connectives, and just everything that will get you good marks. Made sure that I put those in all my questions. So basically, once you wrote all these answers to all these questions, learn them off by heart. And I know that sounds horrible, but I did it. I mean, I will overlay a clip of how much I learned, but I knew it word for word off by heart, and it was probably about 5,000 words. And that is why I spent so long revising for my speaking and nothing else. But it meant that when I went into my speaking, if my teacher asked me a question about the house, I could just take the answer that I'd learnt for the house and recite it, or I could repeat it or adapt it to if I need to talk about a different preposition. So say if she said about your mum, you could then talk about your dad, just saying what you said about your mum but changing it so that it works for your dad, as another example maybe. Anything that you're asked about, you can say something for, basically. And obviously you'll have to improvise, but you'll be in there, you'll kind of have set phrases in your head. I believe AQA used to get a 40-word sheet, but we never got that, so everything was in here. and there's so many ways you can learn these off by heart. I started by recording myself saying all the questions, and yes, I know the sound of your own voice is not something you want to listen to, but sometimes you don't have a choice, and this is one of those times. And then basically whenever I was walking to school on my own, I was on public transport, just sitting in my room doing nothing, or maybe doing art, I would just listen to it, and when you hear it, kind of the rhythm of the words is in your head, so it makes it really easy to recite it. If you're learning a song, you can sing the song back after like about a few listens, so that's kind of the same with the French if you're listening to it. And I also wrote my questions out onto flashcards. I don't have any copies of these anymore, they're all in the bin, but I wrote it all out onto flashcards, and then if I was on the train, in the car, or walking to school, at school, whatever, I had a copy of the flashcards. I could just flick through and learn them, and like learn a new question every day or whatever. And I also learnt it one sentence at a time, so I would ask myself the question, I'd learn the first sentence, also got the first sentence, I'd learn the second sentence with the first sentence, and just keep going until I had the whole answer. Something else which I really thought was useful was I would like read out a sentence a few times, like out loud, and then like while reading it from here, and then I'd keep saying it and put my phone behind my back and see if I could still read it, and if I couldn't, I'd maybe listen to it and speak along with the recording, and I'd just keep going and going until I could say it without looking at my work or without looking at the question, and until I could recite the whole thing. And it was like I would just walk around my room in circles, like just reading French. It was ridiculous. Also, I did the blurting, which you'll have probably heard of by now. So basically I would read my questions a few times, maybe listen to them, and then I would try and write it out without looking, and I would get it wrong a lot to start with, even if I had like semi-learnt them, and this is what you do to perfect the stuff. And I would write it out, come back and be, oh my god, I got everything wrong. Write it out from my question, I'd write it back out, and I'd put it all away and try and write it again without looking, and I'd keep doing that until it was perfect. And that was very time consuming because it took ages to write it all out, but it was a really effective way of learning. So I'd say the best ways for learning your answers would be through blurting and through like speaking them to yourself like over and over and over again, and going back and correcting yourself. And yeah, also my dad tested me on them just to make sure that I had them all perfect the night before, and then as I walked to school, one of my friends tested me as well. My dad's actually not bad at French, he's not fluent or anything, but he knows the pronunciation really well, even though he's not very good at like the reading and the writing, so he was really good at testing me on that and just making sure that I had it all perfect. And then after my speaking, I really didn't revise for any of the others, like at all, really very much. So basically all I did was past papers, so I got a few past papers and I just practiced. So for example, my reading, I would just read it, write out the answers. Any words I didn't know, I'd look them up just to make sure that I knew what they were, and I wouldn't force myself to learn them because I probably wouldn't have managed to learn them in time, but I'd make sure that I had looked it up just in case. And in my writing exam, the whole point of learning your speaking exam answers like that is that you can basically, if you get asked on a similar topic in your writing exam, you can recite your speaking answers. So I think I recited about 2/3 of my paper from my speaking answers. So basically you're killing 2 birds with one stone. And because I'd learned some like tenses, because I'd learned my answers in like the subjunctive tense, past tense and all that, I didn't even have to think about constructing them or learning how to construct them or working out or like whatever, because it was already in my head. I could just recite it without understanding it. So I actually managed to get the subjunctive tense into my writing, even though I still to this day do not know what it is or how to construct it. Because I had the set phrase, I just used it, and hopefully that got me some more marks. So really you can get some really good quality written work in if you make your answers good and you learn them. You can use them in your writing if they're relevant to the question, and obviously you can adapt them. So if you've got a really good sentence, you can change the verb or you can change the subject of the sentence to make it fit whatever you're trying to say. So they're basically really versatile. The last thing, which I didn't do but I wanted to do but I just ran out of time, was watching some French TV shows with some French subtitles, or maybe English, I don't know, whatever you want to do. I was going to watch like all the Harry Potters in French to make myself happy, but they didn't work and it was really weird. But if you've got time, watch some stuff in your language, and you will find the actual listening exam is a lot slower than the actual in real life. So if you're used to listening to it on a movie, then you'll be much better at the listening. Listening was my second worst, and I did a few past papers for that, but I still found the exam really hard. I hope everyone else did, but yeah. That basically concludes my French video. I hope it was useful to you. As I said, I was not a linguist and I wasn't that bothered about French. As long as I got my A, I was happy. So if you're looking to get an A star and go and do it at A level than at university, maybe you could watch somebody else's video who put in more time and effort than me. And I know that it seems a bit unrealistic to learn that many answers, but if you start early you can learn them all and you can cut down and use less than me. Yeah, so if you do this, please let me know. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful, and I'll see you soon for a brand new video. Bye!